our computer, and now we are live again. I'm doing a encore of our remote producer live show today because it was just really glitchy and we had to move all the way over to another computer. But if you guys can hear me in the comment section, just let me know. This should be a lot clearer. We have like a completely different computer that we're using here. I'm not for sure what was going on with my good and faithful. Not so faithful, obviously. So today we're talking about green screen. We're talking about Chroma Key. We're talking about how to utilize small spaces and create something that is really compelling and really high level for your clients. Okay. So thanks for watching. I'm Kimberly Flowers. Today's episode is sponsored by Restream.io. And today we're talking about green screen. Like, how do you create something compelling and something professional for your audience using green screen? And so Restream currently is working on creating a native like Chroma Key inside of the studio itself. But until then, we have virtual camera that can be connected to Restream Studio to really bring some high level broadcast to you. So like this particular broadcast, we're utilizing a third party live stream software, and then we are connecting it to Restream to really go live and onto multiple different platforms. Okay. So what does this look like? What are some of the uses of live stream? Sometimes your audience or sometimes your clients may have like this idea about what they want to look like in their broadcast, and they want to create something that's like really high level, but they are shooting from home, especially if you're doing remote production, right? This is like a big deal. They may be shooting from their home or from their office or something like that, and they're not able to figure out like how they can really create something high level. This is an easy way to do that. And so I'm excited about today's episode. If you're in the comment section, please let me know and let me know. Good. Kevin, you can hear me. You can see me good. And let's kind of get into this. Like if you have questions as we go through this, you may, then make sure that you in the comments area, leave those questions and I will be answering them in the comments area. So talking all about Chroma Key, we're going to walk you through this process step by step. Everything that you need to know about like shooting Chroma Key with your live stream and how to connect that to Restream.io and make something really compelling for your audience. Okay. So first things first, guys, I do want to show you like the before, right? So like, we're going to start here. We're turning this look here into this look here, right? And the cool thing about this is, you know, you're not really limited. Like when you're using green screen, you're not limited to the space. So this looks like a much bigger space, but we're actually like in a tiny little storage studio right now, right? Actually, it's not that tiny, but like we're just using a small portion of the wall, right? And the reason why I did that is because I want to be able to showcase like what this looks like real time for you. Okay. I actually do have another camera that I want to kind of back up and be able to show you that. So just give me 1 second while I plug that in. And hopefully that will work the way that we want it to. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this. Like, let's take a look at the options and the possibilities, right? So obviously, Chroma Key works like this. You are basically taking a color, like a color that isn't used very often. And I guess at that time, a lot of people weren't wearing this like bright neon green. And so they utilize that color to be able to key it out or just erase the background. That's what Chroma Key means, right? You're just erasing the background, but really you're erasing just the color, right? So in this particular instance, we are getting rid of the green, right? So we're going to be getting rid of all of this that you see here, all of that. We're replacing that with whatever type of digital background we want. And then we are, you know, just making it look really high level. I have some really cool tips for you and just some like ninja moves to really make this look as realistic as possible. The problem with Chroma Key sometimes is that it can look a little like fake, and, you know, people, you know, like the color between the person's face and the background looks like you can tell they're in two completely different areas, but there's some really cool things that you can do to really give this like that high level effect. Okay. So thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Silas and Kevin, for coming into the broadcast today. You guys, I can see that a lot of you are out there, and I know if you were trying to catch it earlier, you were probably like, you know, struggling through it. And you guys stayed with me, but I appreciate that. But we're going to kind of do this the way we intended it to. All right, I couldn't leave on that note. I had to like definitely make sure that this gets out to you the way that I wanted it to. So what are some options? Like when you're thinking about the keying of your broadcast, like you can use images, you can use video, and then you can use a combination of video and image behind you. So like even if I had like a picture right now, like this is a picture background, okay? Obviously you can kind of see some of the things that make this not quite like just believable is because the clouds aren't moving, obviously, right? There's no like light happening behind there. So it looks a little flat. And there's some things that you can do to kind of like adjust that. And I'm going to show you some of that real time. Okay. So let's go into, I'm going to show you some of the different backgrounds, some of the more popular backgrounds. And we're actually, I'm going to show you some of the popular types of backgrounds. And I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see exactly how I'm doing this. I'm going to show you inside of Wirecast, inside of OBS, and then I'm going to, you know, kind of give you the basics. So obviously the first basic is don't wear green, obviously, because if you wear green and your background's green and your software is keying out the color green, then you may find yourself with just a head and arms and no center area, right? So if you love green, you love the color green, it's just always been your color, you really want to wear green, then get a blue background, and that will eliminate the color blue in the background, allowing you to be able to key out that color and wear your green. So just options, guys. With that. And so the other tip that I want to give you guys when it comes to keying, like a really professional key, is to light the background. Like how you light the background is really going to affect how crisp and how good looking the broadcast can really be, right? And so let's take a look at that. I'm going to show you guys kind of we're going to go back here and look at this is the like direct output to the broadcast, right? So like this is the direct output from the camera. We're using a T6i camera here. This is like an older version. We also have a Sony A5100, a Sony 6000, 6500. It doesn't really matter which one you use, especially not for Chroma Key, because one of the things that people love about these external cameras is obviously the crisp look that it gives your audience, that your subject in the foreground, and then they want that blurry background effect. So we're gonna, I'm gonna give you some tips about how to even, simulate that with green screen. Okay, so let's go back here. So you want to make sure that you light it well. So how do you light it well? How do we light this in a way that will make the key as easy as possible? The first tip is balance. Balance. You want to make sure that your lighting is balanced and not like overly bright on one section and not bright enough in other areas. Even like, as you can see, like when I'm moving, there's some tiny little things that we can do to clean this up a little bit more. And I'm actually going to do that with you. Okay. So stay tuned, stay plugged in as we kind of get through this. So an even, well-lit background is really what you're looking for. So a lot of times, one of the biggest tips for making sure that your light is evenly lit is just to make sure that you are putting the light in different areas that help balance it out. So there's I don't know if you guys are like familiar. Most of you probably watching this broadcast are familiar with 3-point lighting. And so what 3-point lighting just means, it's the positioning of how you position the light to get the most evenly lit composition. Okay. So the way 3-point lighting works is that you're going to want a light, like 2 lights in front of you, right? 2 lights in front of you and not like directly in front of you. They should be spaced out like in a V section. So when you put your arms out, like this, there should be a light directly in front of me, which there's one right there, and a light directly in front of me here, right? And then additional lights that you can use. This is some ninja moves that I like to do for my own broadcast. A lot of times people will use like a hair light. We actually just have the overhead light on. So that is kind of being used as that 3-point lighting to just kind of give like separation from you in the background. When it comes to lighting, you could really get like really, really, really like the best lighting scenario is like where you have like your 3-point lights, and then you even have a light in the background separating it just a little bit more from the background. Now, because these software like OBS and Wirecast, like their keying is pretty strong. vMix also, like their keying is pretty quick and easy. You don't have to do a lot of finagling with it to make it work really well. So that's why I kind of chose these 3 options to be able to showcase to you guys, because this is something that you can create for yourselves. Okay. So once you have that lighting set up, then it's evenly lit. This is how it should look, right? It should pretty much look very similar to this, okay? And as you can see, like if you are a professional right now, you're probably cringing because there's wrinkles inside of the background, right? This is actually a hanging fabric background. This is a hanging fabric background. And if you can buy these on Amazon, they're not expensive, you guys. They're pretty cheap. And it comes with its own little kit, like for like, I don't know, $30 or something like that. You're able to buy the green screen background with the little background kit and everything like that. Pretty cool. Small little investment that can turn your small space into something absolutely epic. Okay. So invest in that. I would prefer you use the fabric background. There's all different types of green screen backgrounds. Okay. This is a curtain like type background. Some people just use like a foam wall that's green in the background. Some people paint their wall green. Like there's a ton of different options when it comes to like what kind of background, like your choice. But some things to keep in mind are that there are some backgrounds that you can buy on Amazon, and I've had some clients like do this the wrong way, right? So they have like trying to use green screen, but they bought this green screen from Amazon or whatever that like had this shiny shimmering satin look. And that look is going to be like super tedious when you're trying to add light to it. So when you add light, it creates a shine and a glare that is really hard to get rid of. And so I want to make sure that you guys like use something that is matte. Like even if you're painting, if you paint a wall, don't use satin green, because that is going to create that shimmer and that shine. And you don't want shimmer and shine. You really want matte, because it's going to be it won't give those glares, and having you like finagle with the lights to get rid of the not only the shadows, but just the satin kind of like look in the background. So go with something matte. Okay. That's my suggestion to you. The other thing, as we're talking about that, is to like make sure that you have that matte background. Make sure that the background doesn't have too many wrinkles. Now, I will also say that like when it comes to if you lit it right, then you probably won't have like a whole lot of problems with this, because the right lighting just makes this process super easy. But if they don't have really good lighting and they have shadows and creases, and like when you get this in the mail, it might be all like, folded up. You can iron it if you want to. I didn't, like this is, you can see there's some creases in here. And because it's hung up, there's even some shadows happening right there, But because the software is pretty like legit, like we don't have to do too much with it to be able to key it. So I'm going to show you this real time inside of the software. So we talked about, some best key practices so far. Talked about making sure that you don't wear the color of the background or anything similar, so that you don't run into the issue of keying out yourself, right? And then obviously you want to make sure that you have a well-balanced light. Now, when it comes to, and you want to make sure that you're lighting both the subject and lighting the background. So most people think that you like have to have like a specific light for each one. That's not a hard and fast rule. Like I don't always do that. Like we just have a light here. We have the 3-point light happening there, and that's enough to light both me and the subject. Okay. Now for Chroma Key, depending on your skin type, okay, your clients are going to have all different types of skin type, and you want to make sure that you flatter their skin type in the right way. Okay. So one of the first things that we do to make sure that happens with their green screen is that we'll tell them like, I like to mix the light. Okay. So fluorescent lights are pretty popular. It's that white kind of like colder light. And sometimes if you want to like make use of giving that skin a little bit more warmth feeling, you might want to include some more yellow light. So right now I actually have a lamp to my right, a lamp to my left here. And each of these are just like, I'm afraid to turn this on because The space looks so crazy, but I'm just gonna show you this real quick. All right, so this is like the unfinished studio. We're actually in construction, and we're gonna turn this into an amazing studio. But right now, you can see like we have our panels and all this crazy stuff happening there. But as you can see, there's a lamp here beside me, and that lamp is just to give my skin a more glowy look. Okay, and that's a ninja move. Right, like that's something that most people don't tell you about, and you're wondering like, how did she actually get that exact coloration on her skin? Like, how does it work? That's how we do that. We mix both fluorescent light with like a yellow light. Okay, and if it just gives you like a gold, look. If you're you want to look a little more tanned, or you want to look a little bit more like the room itself. Okay, so that's another challenge, is making the person in the front look like they're actually in the room in the back. And there's some color correction things that you can do to make that happen. Again, this is like trying to give you a more detailed functionality thing. Like, we're trying to go deeper and tell you like exactly how to make this look super professional. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here, and now that we've kind of talked about that, the other thing that you want to keep in mind is like to make sure that you have a basically like a green screen matte background that doesn't have too many wrinkles. You have a balanced light. You're not wearing green. Maybe you're using like a little bit of warm light in addition to that to kind of give your subject just a little bit more of a glow. And then it's time to get into the software. So I'm going to show you this in OBS, and I'm also going to show you this inside of Wirecast. Okay. So I'm going to start with Wirecast just because that's what we're open in right now. So let's go here, and I'm going to share my Wirecast screen with you guys. Okay. Questions in the comments area, of course, guys. Oh, here we go. All right. So this is Wirecast here. Wirecast kind of just works like their workspace is pretty simple. I have one shot here. Inside of that shot are multiple layers, right? Multiple layers. It's just like Photoshop or anything else. I feel like if you know one software, you pretty much know them all, because they kind of work very similarly. Like even, Illustrator and all of these different things, they kind of work in layers, right? So as you can see, the top layer just means that's what's going to be in front, and the bottom layers are going to be like what's happening behind me. Okay. So I'm going to, for the sake of this, like make myself disappear. And I can see that's just the background, this background here that is showing. And then I'm going to re-add myself just so you guys can see how we did this. So we hit video capture. We're using this HDMI video camera. That's the camera there. And as you can see, this is just keyed like that. One of the other things that I like to do for the client and for myself when we do our broadcast is just to kind of up it, like the difference. Let me just look at you guys when I tell you this, okay? Oh, wait, I should probably like, hold on. All right. So guys, the difference between good and great is in the details. The difference between good and great is in the details. And so when we're talking about this, the details of this, okay, sorry. I realized I didn't share it, but I'm about to share it now. So the screen, Patrick, I'm about to share the screen now. So the difference between good and great is really in the details. So when we're talking about these small little things, like these little hacks to kind of make it even better, I want you guys to take those into consideration, because it's going to make your Chroma Key look better than other people's Chroma Key. Most people will just like, all right, it's a green screen background, key it out, boom, you're ready to go, right? And for me, I like to just do a little extra, So for me, a little extra looks like providing warm light to make the skin glow, right? And then also going to use some color correction inside of the software itself. Both OBS and Wirecast and vMix have their own color correction type things that you can use. So let's take a look at this. I'm actually going to share my screen. Where is it? Oh, okay. All right, so now we're in here. As I said before, it's super simple. We only have this one shot here, and inside of that shot are multiple layers, okay? So right now, the layer that you're viewing me on right now is this one here, the top layer, okay? So whatever's on the top is gonna be what's in front. If I put my background in front of me by dragging that up, now you can't see me, right? So you wanna make sure that your backgrounds are behind the source, okay? So I'm gonna show you how we just basically put this in. I'm going to just delete this right here for the sake of this to show you this real time. So you hit the plus button, then you hit the HDMI video because that's the camera we have. And in talking about cameras, guys, just really quickly, what kind of camera is best for Chroma Key? Okay. Obviously, like when it comes to camera quality in general, like you get what you pay for, okay? But you can create some really high level things using some of these ninja moves that I'm showing you, like this just like extra stuff. When you do this extra stuff, you can turn a Logitech 920 or 30 or whatever and make it look like a straight up DSLR camera, okay? And we do that every day. Like that's what we specialize in. You know, our clients just have these like tiny little cheap $50 cameras and we turn it into something that just looks pretty epic, right? But this particular camera that we're using right now is an older camera, much older camera. We have a Sony A5100, but that's not this camera here. This camera here, I think is a, what is this? A T6i. This is a Canon T6i. Any DSLR will work. This also works with any other type of Panasonic, Sony, whatever you're using. So we often use it with the Sony A5100. We also use it with the A6000. You can't really mess that up really, as long like if you have a DSLR camera, you're pretty good to go, right? But even if you don't, and you just have your webcam, then you can really create something stunning even with that, okay? So going back, let's take a look back at the thing here. So as I put in the camera, you can see that that is the layer that's on top now. And all I have to do to key it is to go to this little area here where there's a person, and then it says use Chroma Key, and I will just check that check that off and hit the transition, and boom, now we're keyed, right? And so that was really quick. Like even with the wrinkles and stuff that it had in there, I want you guys to make note of that. Like even with the wrinkles that it had inside of the background here, we're still able to produce something pretty cool and pretty quickly without having to do too much finagling. However, if for whatever reason the lighting and things like that are creating a bit of a challenge for you, this little area here on the side actually gives you some more options to be able to really get the key right. So I'm actually going to close some of this out because it's getting on my nerves. All right, close that out. And then I'm going to actually just showcase this one screen so you guys can see this, see what I'm doing here, okay? So on the side here, there are some options to be able to get that key even cleaner, okay, than it is right now. It came out pretty clean, but if I wanted it to be clearer even than that, then all I would have to do is to check out these particular, like play with some of these settings here on the side. They have key threshold, which just means like how much of the green is it going to like take out. So if you up the threshold, you can up it, and that kind of gets all of the green like out of it. The black clips and the white clips just kind of help bring that contrast to the key itself. And you can see this, like they actually have a display to where if I display this in alpha, then you can see how much of me is showing and how much actually needs a little work, right? So as you can see here, the camera, there's just a little bit of it not showing, or it's becoming see-through. And let me just make sure that you guys are seeing this. Okay, good. So we're able to look at the alpha channel and maybe adjust the white clip here to be able to show more of it or less of it, right? And that will kind of show you what that looks like. So if I open that up, as you can see, the background is sort of, you know, transparent, but not really, right? So we want to get it all out and we'll be able to see it right there. See how much of it it's actually using. Solidify. just kind of makes it even like a little bit cleaner. Most of you will probably not be able to see the differences right off. Like, that's pretty clear, you know, but if it wasn't and the lighting was different, you'd be able to see kind of how each of these things affect the subject. So I would encourage you to kind of take a risk and play around with some of those things as well. Okay. The other thing is, so you have the black clip. If I move that over, you can see that it's kind of affecting it. So we want to make sure it's nice and clean. So if you were still getting a little bit of green in there somehow, you could use these little filters to make sure, not filters, but just like these little options here to make sure that you're getting the cleanest key possible. And that just makes it look more realistic at the end of the day, right? Okay, so now that you've done that, another tip to making it, to just turning that up even a little bit more, is color correction inside of the software itself. Okay, so what you want to do is just go to the color area. So make sure you have the layer selected, go in, and with the color, if I turn down the gamma, you guys will be able to see that this gives my hair and stuff like that just a little bit darker look. That's too dark. So we'll just bring it down like right about there to kind of give it a crisp look. Okay. And then I may even want to turn up the saturation to make my skin glow just a tiny bit more. Right. And then there you go. So now I may want to turn out the brightness just a tiny bit by 2. There you go. That'll work. Whatever. So as you can see, that's more flattering on the skin, and depending on whatever skin types your audience has, you can do that too. So I'm gonna show you again the color correction here. We are going to the layer itself. You'll click on the layer, hit the button here, and I'm gonna show you this in OBS too, but you'll hit the button here and then go over to color and adjust some of these settings. So if I reset it, that's what it looks like. If I want to bring it down and give it more of a crisper look here, I can bring it down just a tiny bit and bring the saturation up just a tiny bit, right? And okay, that's a little bit much. Just do 6. Okay. And there you have it. That is like just a little bit crisper, just a little bit cleaner, just a little bit more realistic. Okay. So that is how you do the color correction part of this process. Okay. So then that will just make it look really, really professional. The next tip that I have for you is concerning the background. You are able to do color correction on the background as well. So like, let's just say we have a solid background and we want a solid background image and we want to change the color. You can change the hue of that and make it look all different types of ways. But let's just say I wanted to use a video. So I'm going to show you how to insert a video here. So actually this software has its own like little stock video area, I think. So I'm just going to, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to, don't worry, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to, actually, let me just show you this. Okay. So inside of here, we're going to import a video. In order to do that, we just hit the plus button there. And then we go to, we'll just go to the library here and then do city, maybe. Let's just, that looks cool, whatever. Obviously, like when it comes to making it look realistic, you don't want the background, you want the background to subtly be moving, but not a whole lot like you see here. But just to show you like what this looks like, you can just create like a ton of different things with your Chroma Key, right? So now I'm in the sky, maybe I'm doing a meditation video or whatever, and I'm helping you find your inner self and inner wealth. That's something that you can do there. Okay. And that's how easy it is to insert the video inside of the platform. How did we connect this to Restream, right? The way that we did that, hey Dean, hey Face Slammer, Patrick, Stella, Kevin, guys, you guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. So how do we connect this to Restream.io? Really quickly, all you have to do in this side of this one, we're using what's called a virtual camera. And I'm going to get out of here because I just want to go back to the non-video area. So I'm just going to toggle it off by turning off the eye. And then you guys can see that that has switched that over back to the picture background. Okay. And within the picture background here, you know, you may have a client that's like more corporate or whatever. I'm going to open up a couple of these, and they may want that city type background. Some other people may just want like an interior design background, right? And they wanted to make it just look like they're in their home or wherever. And this kind of gives it a DSLR look. So the other ninja move for chroma keying really professionally, for chroma keying like a professional, is to blur out the background just a tiny little bit, blur it out a tiny little bit, and then that will help your give that depth of field look. So now we have like the DSLR kind of look that looks like I'm in a much bigger space than I actually am, right? So you're able to do this for your clients and kind of get them looking really high level with this process. So I would blur it out like, you know, at a percentage. We use Gaussian Blur. Okay. Gaussian Blur can be found in any photo editing software that you use. We use Photoshop for that. And you'll just hit in Photoshop, how to navigate there is just to go to filters, go to blur, go to Gaussian Blur, blur it out about 8% or so. And that will get the look that you kind of see here, where it's just blurred a little bit to kind of give more focus to the subject and less focus to the background. Okay. So that's the background. Also, you guys, one of the other things that you can do with this process is to color correct the background, right? So I can make this, if it's a really background that's like, looks like right now my skin tone looks like I could be in the room, right? But I can up that a little bit more by color correcting the background and bringing it down just a little bit, right? And that gives more focal attention here to the background. Let me show you. Okay. So you can take some of these images, like all of these different layers, guys. I'm just showing you different ones that you could do to get different looks and feels for your broadcast that still look really professional. We use iStock library to like get our images and things like that for clients and for ourselves. So you can purchase those or get a subscription for that. And I think stock, there's a lot of stock like photo places that you can get stuff for free and use those images and just tweak them a tiny bit and make them your own, right? So for this one, if I were to like, I'm going to go back to I'll use this one. No, I'm going to go back to the other one. So like in the case of this one, what I was trying to show you is how I changed it up. So I'll reset it here. So as you can see, it's bright and I'm a little bright. So I may want to tone down the background to bring less focus on the background. The way that I do that is just to go into the shot layers. So as you see the shot layer, I'll go to the background that I want to adjust. And then I'll hit the properties icon. Then I'll go down to color and I'll bring down the gamma just a little bit. And then you see how that just creates just a tiny little bit of like, of a vignette almost, right? For the background, just highlighting me, making the subject pop a little bit more and bringing that background just into like a soft, out of focus background. Okay. Guys, is this helpful for you? If this is helpful, then in the comment section, just let me know that you find this helpful. Okay. All right. And so that is Chroma Key inside of like Wirecast. Now, how do you connect this? Coming back here, I'm going to show you how we connect this, okay, to Restream.io. So you would go to output settings, and there's two ways that you can do this, okay? The first way is to go by RTPM server, and you would copy and paste your credentials inside of Restream to go live directly through Restream this way, okay? Which is normally how we use it for client broadcast. We'll go live to multiple different platforms using Restream by adding our address here. So if you go to Restream.io, there's a little button on the right-hand side that says RTPM settings. You just copy and paste those credentials inside of here. Hold on. and I do want to make sure that you're able to see all of it. So I am going to go to make sure that this screen share is sharing everything. So let's hit that again, and we'll just go to your entire screen here. Hit share and go back in here and show you this. Okay. So all I did was hit output. I want to make sure that I hit virtual. Okay. 2 ways, right? So the first way to do it is if you want to go live directly from your software into Restream, then you can do that by going to output settings and then using the RTPM server option. You want to copy and paste those credentials that they give you inside of Restream right here. So the address will be there and you get a stream key and you copy it right in there and hit OK. But if you want to go live through Restream Studio, then all you have to do is use the virtual cam inside of your software. This is the same with OBS. It's the same with vMix. It's the same with, whatever Wirecast platform that you want to use. And to do that, all you have to do is go to output settings again, hit virtual out. And you can see that it's already right now, like we're using the virtual camera. So it would say start. But right now it just says stop. We're not going to stop it because we do want to use that. That's exactly what we are using to go to Restream Studio live. Okay, so we're using the virtual camera for that. And then that's it. So then this is like the output. So once you go inside of Restream here, as you can see, you have these options here at the bottom. And you want to select under settings the Wirecast virtual camera. Because once you turn it on, it's like Wirecast virtual camera and you get different options. Like this is just directly out of the cam. This is the Wirecast virtual camera and other cameras that are listed here. Okay. So I'm just going to keep that on for now. And we are kind of move into that process. So making sure that you guys can hear me and that you guys are able to see questions so far. Like I hope that you utilize this to be able to do something even today. Check out your green screen and like see how you can get a well-lit background and make sure that you can really create something that looks high level. And then if you do that, like if you go to OBS or you're using whatever virtual cam and you use virtual cam and Restream to create something, tag me in it so that I know that you learned something awesome today. Okay. And now we can actually go over. I'm actually going to open up. I'm going to attempt to open up here. Hold on. We're going to open up another software and show you this inside of a free software. Okay. And stand by. I thought I already had this open, but it doesn't look like I did. Okay. All right. So this is OBS, right? Okay. So I'm sharing my screen again. Here we go. Okay. So this is OBS here. We're opening it up. And then this is what the platform kind of will look like once it's opened. Where is it? See, this is what happens when you have too many windows open. Okay, let's just make sure that it is open. But for those of you that want to download this direct, all you have to do is go to OBS. Just Google it like this. And go to download. And for Apple, we're using an Apple computer today. So you just download the installer here. And if you, of course, have a Windows computer, then you're able to open up the Windows version of this. Okay. And going back here, just to make sure that you guys, while that's doing its thing, I want to ask any of you in the comment section, are you currently using green screen right now for your broadcast? And if you are, what challenges have you had working with green screen for live stream. And I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have. So if you do have questions, make sure that you ask the questions, because, you know, closed mouths don't get fed, as they say. Okay. Okay. So that should be ready now. Let's just try to go ahead and open it again. That's not the one I wanted to open. Quit. Okay. And then open up the new one. Now, one of the cool things about this version of OBS is like the newest version that they have out for OBS actually has virtual cam just connected right into it. Okay. So it's not going to take a lot of like finagling as well. Okay. So coming back to you guys, making sure that you guys can see me and everything. Let's take a look at this. Okay. So I'm going back into the screen share here. Ooh. And let's go to OBS. Okay. So this is what OBS looks like. As you can see, like we have the video capture. We have, this is actually an audio input here. I'm actually going to mute this so that it doesn't cause any problems. Actually, I'm just going to take it out. Okay. And inside of this scene, so we're going to take a look at what each of these things look like. As you can see, I'm actually going to just take this out. Okay, you have to have at least one scene. So OBS is divided into scenes and sources. Scenes, I want you to think about scenes as just a folder in which you put a lot of files inside of, right? And so all you have to do is open up a new scene. So we'll hit open scene 2, right? And as you can see now, that's black. We have to add some source. So we'll create the source by hitting the video capture device of our choice. You can name that. I'm not going to right now for the sake of time. And then I'm going to go to, I can put Wirecast virtual camera in there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how to do this direct. So we'll hit OK there. We selected the webcam. And then how do I key this inside of OBS? Let's do this. Right click, hit filters, go to effect filters, hit plus, go to Chroma Key. You can slow this down later on if you need to. Okay. And as you can see, that keyed out the background pretty much right away. And as you can see, that kind of keyed it out, right? So you can see that is, you can do some correction here on the color spill and all of that jazz. But we have it right here. So once that's done, just hit close. And as you can see, it looks like a black background. Now I can see there's where that wrinkle is, that there was a little bit of spillage there. So I can go in and clean that up just by going back to the filters area, going into the Chroma Key area and, you know, hitting similarity or something like that and just kind of making it to where I can see that disappear. And now it's disappeared, and now I hit close, and there I am. I think I did it a little bit too much though. I don't want to get rid of my color in my face. That should be fine right there. If we need to adjust it later, we'll adjust it, but I think I'm happy with that. So there it is, nice and gone there. Although it took away some of my teeth, which is weird. Last time, guys. This is what happens when you're doing stuff live. Okay. So we want to bring the similarity down just a tiny bit. And in this case, and a really quick fix for that too, is just to like straighten it out. Okay. But for the sake of this, I want to keep going. So I'm going to add a background real quick. We're going to hit image, select an image. We're going to hit browse. We are going to go to, I'm just going to say blur because I think there's something on here. Got to be something on this Mac. That's in the background because I think I uploaded it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ooh, that's really blurry, but I'm just going to put it in there right now because we're running out of time. As you can see, that came in like super huge. I can fix that by just going to transform. I can edit transform, but I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to like scale it down by grabbing the corner and scale it down by grabbing the corner and scale it down a little bit more by grabbing the corner there. Oops. Now I have them both selected. So I just need to make add the one selected. And then I need to make sure the image is below me. So as you can see, that did affect the background here. So if I move this, oh, it's on this side. If I just kind of straighten it out, and that will get rid of it. Okay. So that's how easy it is. Now all I have to do now is hit start virtual camera. This gives you a lot of permission. So, and once you do that, we're going to go back into Restream Studio here. And instead of selecting this particular camera, like right now we have the Wirecast virtual cam on. So now we're going to select for the video. Follow me here. If I turn the video off, then you can see that my image toggles on and off. Or you can select a different video for that. So we have Wirecast virtual turned on right now. I think I have to restart this just to make it show up with the OBS, because that's what I had to do the last time. So if it doesn't show up right away, guys, like just hit just restart, your computer after you do the download, and then it'll show up OBS right there, and then you'll be able to select that particular one. And that's it. That's how you connect it to Restream. So when you're ready to go into Restream, you just hit the live button there. Hit the live button. It says finish right now. So if I cut that off, it's going to cut the stream, but it would just say go live, and you can do it kind of that way. So guys, that's it. Like, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you found that helpful. And if you have, in the comment section, please let me know that you found this helpful. And if you decide that you're going to do your own broadcast using Chroma Key, using green screen, and using some of the skills that we taught you here today, then make sure that you tag me in that. Okay. So like just a really quick summary, couple of things that you need. You need a green screen background that is matte, right? No shiny edges on the background, no matter what type of background you're doing. The other thing is to make sure that your green screen is well lit, evenly lit. So you can do that by using the 3-point lighting technique. And if you want to add additional glow to the skin of your subject, then you can think about using mixed lighting for fluorescent and like warm lights. Okay. And then the other thing is to utilize like a blurred background will kind of help give that depth of field DSLR look to a broadcast that it, would otherwise look a little flat. If I was in focus and the entire background was in focus, it would give it a flat feel. But this kind of gives you an option to be able to, really up level that thing and make it look super professional. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. You guys have been in the comments area, and I love it so much. And I want to thank you for your time. I know that you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to be here. And to that end, I hope today's episode was an awesome use of your time. If you have additional questions, guys, we are running to the last episodes of Remote Producer Live. So our next episode is the last episode of the season. So I want to make sure that you guys come to that episode. Don't miss it. I have something super special for you, and I can't wait for that particular episode. So until then, you guys, thanks for hanging in there with me today. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.